introductory concept about statistics. So today we will move on to the probability. Okay, so but before that, I want to greet you all a happy Valentine's Day, class. So mamaya may mga date kayo with your family and with your loved ones. So happy Valentine's Day, class. So today I will proceed now to our subject, engineering data analysis. So good morning. Ika po ka-date ni ma'am. Ay, sorry, class. Ako lang naglaog. Okay, so thank you. So let's start. Okay. So on the previous lesson, we discussed about statistics. So we have the descriptive statistics and the inferential statistics. Now we move on to the probability. Kasi ang engineering data analysis class is a combination of statistics and as well as the probability. Okay. So sabi nga, the probability is the chance of an event occurring. So what is the probability of passing the, how do you call this? The subject engineering data analysis. So, yan. Tapos, what is the probability of getting or winning a lotto ticket? Okay. So, what is that? The probability of getting the chance of an event occurring. So, madami-dami yan, class. So, pinaka-example nito is yung we have cards, a deck of cards. So, we use of that. Yun muna yung simplest form of probability. Okay. The probability of getting an ace in a deck of a card or the probability of getting a king in a deck of card. Okay? So, here is the tinatawag natin sa probability. Meron tayong tinatawag na experiment as well as the sample space. Okay. When we call that event, so tinatawag natin siyang experiment. So, ano yung event na yan? Ano gagawin mo? So, that is the experiment. If we toss a coin, one coin, roll a die, answer a true or false question, as well as tossing two coins. So, madami yan, class. Madami-dami. That is just an example of an experiment. How about the sample space? Okay. When we toss a coin, automatically, ang sample space niya, either mag-head siya or mag-tail. Diba? Wala naman ibang choices, diba, class? Also, when answering true or false lang. So, the probability of getting the right answer is 1/2. Okay? When answering a true or false question. Okay? That is the sample space. So, what is a probability experiment? So, that is a process wherein it leads to a well-defined result such as outcome. So, what is an outcome? That is the result of a single trial of a probability experiment. So, this is just a basic concepts in probability. Okay? We have also the sample space. Sabi ko nga, that is the set of all possible outcomes. Take note, set of all possible outcomes of a probability experiment. Okay. Ulitin natin, ang probability experiment, meron siyang outcomes, probability experiment yun, ha. Ang outcome natin, that is the result of a single trial, while the sample space is the set of all possible outcomes. Okay. So, may tinatawag din tayong tree diagram. So, this is the basic. We can use this, the tree diagram, pag hindi mo pa kabisado kasi madami to, class. We have the addition rule, the multiplication rule, or probability. Okay. So, the tree diagram. So, this is a device consisting of line segments emanating from the starting point and also from the outcome point. Yeah. So, it is used to determine all possible outcomes of a probability experiment. Okay? So, this is an example of a tree diagram. So, ang tanong sa atin, we need to find the sample space for the gender of the 3 children in the family. So, this is an example. Malinaw ba sa mga cellphone nyo, class? Okay, so, take note, this is a tree diagram. So, correct ko lang to. So, find the sample space for the gender. So, alam ko naman na gender and development coordinator ako. So, use the word sex na lang dito, class, kasi we all know that gender, madami na siya. Socially construct. So, we refer to that as sex. So, boys or girl lang yan, class. Okay? When we refer to sex. Okay? So, since we all know that the sample space for this is 8, paano nangyari yan? So, you can use the tree diagram. So, the first child, syempre class, ang probability mo lang dyan is the boy and the girl. Makikita ba ang aking pointer? Okay. The boy and the girl. Second child, doon tayo sa boy. Automatically, pwedeng boy or girl. So, nakikita nyo, class? So, nagsasanga-sanga siya, class, di ba? So, this is the first outcome. Pwedeng lahat sila boy. The second, the third, and the fourth, and so on and so forth. So, makikita nyo in every outcome, kasi 3 children in the family, kung sinabi niya 4 children in the family, so magdadagdag ka ulit dito ng another 3 diagram or a possible branch of a tree. So, dito sa third, maglalagay ka dito ng fourth, so you have to draw a possible branch nga, sabi ko. So, either boy or another girl. So, magdadagdag tayo ng outcomes natin. So, this is an example of a tree diagram. Okay? Sabi nga dito, since there are 2 possibilities, boy or girl, for the first child, draw 2 branches. Diba? From the starting point. So, habang may starting point ka, papatungo doon hanggang saan hinahanap sa'yo. So, find the outcomes for the sample space. Trace through all the possible branches, beginning at the starting point for each one. So, we have the possible outcomes. Okay? Okay? So, if we have that, the possible events, I mean, an experiment. So, may tinatawag tayong event. So, that is consist of outcomes of a probability of experiment. So, may tinatawag tayong simple event or compound event. Okay, excuse me. Pag sinabi natin simple event, it is an event with 1 outcome, while the compound event, so it consists of 2 or more possible outcomes. Okay? From the word itself. Sabi dito, an event can be 1 outcome or more than 1 outcome. So, for example, if a die is rolled and so number 6 class ang nakita mo, this result is called an outcome. Okay? Single trial lang yon. Pero, pag dalawa na or tatlo, so on and so forth, compound events na yan. Okay. So, here, we have the 3 basic interpretation of probability. The classical, the empirical, or the subjective probability. Sa tingin nyo, class, ano yan yung pinakamadali for you na probability? So, we have the classical, the empirical, and subjective probability. 3 basic interpretation. What do you think? These 3 basic interpretation of the probability. Anyone? Sa tingin nyo man lang, class, kasi wala pa naman tayong sinasabi. Kasi class, actually, madali lang tong lahat. Madali lang yan. Wala? Any idea?
Ako po,
Kikinig
ma'am.
ba kay ma'am? Okay. So, first, we move on to the classical probability. So, sabi ko nga kanina, we have the event and the compound event. So, wag nyo yun, yan ang class ha, kalimutan sa utak niya. So, what is a classical probability? So, the classical probability class is, it uses sample space to determine the numerical probability that an event will happen. So, It assumes that all outcomes in the sample space are equally likely to occur. So take note, when we say classical probability, the event there is equally likely events, wherein it have the same probability of occurring. Okay? So this is just a formula of the classical probability. So may formula siya, class, madali lang siya. Intindihin mo tong classical probability kasi pataas ng pataas tayo. Okay? We have the classical probability. So the probability of any event is equal to the number of outcomes in any event over the total number of outcomes in the sample space. So madali lang to. This is denoted by like this. The probability of an event is equal to the number of outcomes in any event over the total number of outcomes in the sample space. So this is called classical probability. So ginagamit yung S-class as the sample space. Okay, for example, so how many deck of cards? I mean, in the deck of cards, ilan class yung cards natin? Anyone? Sa deck of cards natin, ilan class?
52 po, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So, alam naman ng lahat na 52. Am I right? Yung iba hindi nagsasagot. Okay. So, alam nyo na 52. So, ito yung pinakaunang example natin. So, find the probability of getting a red ace when a card is drawn at random from an ordinary deck of cards. So, pag automatically class sinabing deck of cards, we have 52 cards. Since a deck of cards, sa mga hindi pa marunong sa hindi alam kung ano ang deck of cards, we have ace, 2, 3, 4, 5 hanggang 10. And we have the king, queen, jack. So, tiga-apat yun, class. Kaya we have 52. 13 times 4. Tama ba? So, since there are 52 cards, there are 2 red aces. Diba, class? Bakit dalawang red ace? Ngayon, we have the ace of hearts and the ace of diamonds. So, in classical probability, we use this, the probability of getting that red ace. Okay. So, we have 2. Yan. The probability of getting that. So, this is the number of the possible outcomes. Kasi dalawa lang naman over the total sample space. We have the 52 class. So, simplify, we have 1 over 26. Diba? Madali lang yung classical probability natin. Questions? Okay, wala. Sige. Another one. So, kanina we have the 3 diagram. So, if the family has 3 children, find the probability that the 2 of the 3 children are girls. Take note. 2 out of 3 children are girls. Mag-slide yung kamay. Okay. Take note, 2 lang ha. So, sa sample space natin, we have 8. So, automatically, alam nyo yung denominator natin. Kasi gumawa tayo ng 3 diagram, diba? So, the probability of 2 girls. So, ano yung possible outcomes? Doon tayo. Balikan nyo yung outcomes natin. Yung sample space natin. Diba? Ito, boy lahat. So, hindi siya pwede. Ito din, isa lang ang girl. Hindi din siya pwede. Ito, isa din. Dito, isa din. Di pwede. While here, excuse me, is this considered as the probability of getting 2 of 3 children? The probability of 2 girls
Yes
out
po.
of the 3 children. Is this a yes or a no?
No.
Kasi hindi sinabi na 3 girls.
No po,
So,
ma'am.
this is an X. Yes. Kasi dalawa lang dapat ang babae. Okay, so this one, this is a dalawa lang yung babae, so this is correct. 1. That is the one possible outcome. And this also 1, 2, dalawa. And this is also boy, girl, girl. So, this is the probability. So, sabi dito, there are 3 ways to have 2 girls. So, ito na nga yung chinika natin. The girl, girl, boy. The girl, boy, girl, and the boy, girl, girl. Take note, yung tatlong girl, hindi natin kinonsider. Kasi hindi naman sinabi hindi naman sinabi lahat girls. Dalawa lang dapat. Okay? Pag sumobra, bawal. Pag kulang, bawal. Okay? So, dapat dalawa lang. Okay? So, we have now the probability of that in the total sample space. We have 3, 8. Okay? Naintindihan ba? You can chat class if you don't want to open your mind. At least I know you are listening. Okay? Okay? Naintindihan ba to class? So, 3.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay? Next, we proceed. This is just the review of that classical probability. Okay? So, the number of outcomes in any event over the total number of outcomes in the sample space. So, madali lang di ba class yung classical probability? Sige. Okay? Proceed. Paano class kung may sinasabi na tayong makikita mo na yung word sa probability, lalo na sa probability, yung word na and tsaka or. Yan. Bakit? May meaning yan class sa probability. Take note of that. Okay? Okay? Ano pinagkaiba ng and sa or? Okay. So, for example, if we were asked to find the probability of getting a queen, okay, queen and a heart, okay, from a deck of cards, ang pinapahanap sa atin is only the queen of hearts. Okay. Queen of hearts lang yung pinapahanap sa atin. Okay? Ibig sabihin, yung word na end class, ibig sabihin siya at the same time. Okay. Yan, para mas madali kayo mag-compute ng probability. At the same time, yung ibig sabihin ng end. Okay. So, meron din tinatawag class the word or has 2 meanings. If you were asked to find the probability of selecting a queen or a heart, take note, iba na to. Kanina end, ngayon or. Okay? When one card is selected from a deck of cards, you would be looking for 4 na queen. Class, sigurado kayong alam nyo yung deck of cards. Baka hindi nyo ito maintindihan kung hindi nyo alam ang deck of cards. Excuse me. Alam ba? Alam naman ata. Lahat? Am I correct? Okay.
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay. So, we have a 4 queens as well as 13 hearts. Oh, bakit 13 hearts? Kasi we have the ace of hearts, 2, 3, 4, 5, hanggang sa queen of hearts, I mean king of hearts, di ba? Okay. So, ibig sabihin, class, dito, so, ginamit yung word na or. Ayan. Ginamit yung word na or. So, we have now, the queen of hearts would be included in both cases. Bakit? Kasi mabibilang mo na, mali yung, ayan, tama pala. Mabibilang mo na ng 2 beses yung ano? Queen of hearts. Bakit? Binilang mo siya sa 13 na hearts as well as sa 4 na queen. So, pag hinanap mo yung possibilities or yung possible sample space, so 4 na queen plus 13 na hearts, bakit may minus 1? Kasi nabilang mo ng 2 beses yung queen of hearts. So, 16 possibilities. Okay, ulitin ko lang ha. May 4 kang queen. 13 yung hearts. Bakit 13 yung hearts? Sabi ko nga, from ace to king of hearts. So, 2 beses mo na bilang yung queen of hearts. Nabilang mo siya sa 13 hearts as well as nabilang mo din siya sa 4 queens. So, babawasan mo siya ng 1. Tama ba? Kasi nga, binilang mo siya 2 beses. Para isa lang yung bilang mo. So, we have 16 possibility of the probability of selecting a queen or a heart. Okay? So, malalaman nyo yung exclusive OR and inclusive OR in the next page. Okay? Okay. Excuse me. Kung kanina, we are asked to look for a queen and a hearts. The other hand, we will find a queen, ito naman class, or a king. Ayan. So, alam naman natin na 4 na queen at 4 na king. Okay. So, automatically, class, in this case, there would be, i-add mo lang siya, 8 possibilities. 4 plus 4 queens, 4 queens plus 4 kings, we have 8 possibilities. So, in the first case, yung kanina class, tinatawag yun na, excuse me, okay, tinatawag yun kanina na inclusive OR. Bakit? Kasi both events can occur at the same time. Okay, inclusive OR. While here in the second case, na inad lang natin siya, tinatawag natin siyang exclusive OR. Okay? Hindi naman to ipapa-exam ni ma'am, pero pag magsusolve kayo, malalaman niyo na siya kung inclusive OR siya or exclusive OR. Bakit? Para hindi na kayo mamali. Okay? Here, class, we add the queens and the king because both events cannot occur at the same time. Okay? Kung kanina, can occur at the same time, here, both events cannot occur at the same time. Okay? Naintindihan? Sa inclusive OR, kung ilang beses siya nabilang mo, yun yung minus mo, inclusive OR. Kasi both events can occur at the same time. Mag-subtract ka. Okay, class? While here in the second case, the exclusive OR, so hindi niya maapektuhan yung isa, just automatically add. Okay? Cannot occur at the same time. Okay, so from the classical probability, we have the equally likely events. After that, the equally likely events, we move on to the inclusive OR and the exclusive OR. Okay? Okay, for example, if we had a deck of cards, find the probability of getting a jack. Sige nga. How do we get the probability of getting a jack? Sige nga. Ilan yung jack nyo, class?
4 po, ma'am. 4.
Okay. 4 jack. What is the sample space?
52 po.
Yan. Okay. Yun, may answer na. So, what is the probability of getting a jack? So, that is automatically 4/52. Hindi ko masusulat. Okay. Next, probability of getting the 6 of clubs. Take note, 6 and a club. And a club. This is an inclusive OR exclusive OR. Sige nga. 6 of clubs. The probability of getting 6 of clubs. Is it an inclusive or exclusive OR? Sige nga. 6 and a club. Ilan yung 6 of clubs mo? Sa deck of
1.
cards.
Isa po, ma'am. 1.
Okay. So, ano yung probability mo?
1/52 po.
Okay. Sige, let's check later. That is correct, actually. Okay. Next, the probability of getting a 3 or a diamond. Okay. Take note, 3 or a diamond. Ilan yung 3 natin? 4?
4 po.
Ilan yung diamond?
13.
From
13.
13. Okay. Ayan. Hindi. Ayan. So, ilang beses? Na-count mo ba ng 2 beses yung 3 of diamond? I mean, yes.
Yes po.
Yes po.
Yes.
Okay. Automatically, mag--1 ka. Anong tawag dito? Inclusive or exclusive or? Okay, inclusive or. So, what is the probability of that class of getting a 3 or a diamond?
16 po over 52.
Okay, that is correct. Thank you. How about this? The probability of getting a 3. Ayun, may mga simplified form na ng letter C. Okay. The probability of getting a 3 or a 6. So, this is an inclusive or exclusive? Okay. This is an exclusive or yes, because hindi naman makaka-apekto si 3 sa 6, diba? So, we have 4 cards as well as another 4 cards of 6. Okay, tingnan nga natin kung tama yung mga sagot niya. Okay, sa letter A, probability of getting a jack. Okay, tama naman. 4 over 52. So, sabi ko nga, 1 club lang. Kasi 6 and a club. So, isa lang naman yun, class. 6 of clubs. So, the probability of getting that is 1 over 52. Okay? And sa letter C, we have 4, sabi ko nga, 4 threes and 13 diamonds. But the 3 of diamonds is counted twice. So, automatically, we have 4 plus 13. That is 17 minus 1, we have 16. Okay? So, the probability of getting a 3 or a diamond, we have 16 over 52. Tama tayo, class. So, we have 4 over 13. Sabi ko nga, that is an example of an inclusive or. In the latter part, or sa letter D natin, we have 4 threes and 4 6. So, we have 4 plus 4, we have 8. Then, that is 2 over 13. So, tinatawag din yun, class, na exclusive or. Okay? Naintindihan na ba? Okay. So, that is, class, the classical probability. Ulitin ko, recall natin, the equally likely events at the same times. Papasok na yung word na and also the word or. Okay? Sa or, papasok yung inclusive or and the exclusive or. Okay? Okay, dito na tayo sa probability basic rules. Okay, class. Sa probability rule number 1, class, we all know that the probability of any event is a number. Take note. Pwede siyang either siya fraction or pwede siyang fraction or decimal. So, pwede yung class, ang probability, pag hinanap sa iyo, class, is the probability. The probability of any event. So, in rule number 1, alam natin na ang 0 is, etong rule number 1 is denoted as like this. So, 0 is less than or equal to the probability of that event or less than or equal to 1. Take note, fraction or decimal. Pwede yan, class. Pero, class, pag nag-whole number ka na, 1.5, 1.6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20, arrogant, hindi na yun. Mali yun, class. Yung answer mo pag tinatanong ka sa probability, ha? Tandaan mo, class, ang probability of getting an event is always false between these values 0 to 1. Naintindihan? Okay. Ayan. The rule number 1 states that probabilities cannot be negative or greater than 1. Okay? Yan, sabi ko na nga, cannot be negative or greater than 1. Naintindihan si ma'am? Also, in probability rule number 2, if an event E cannot occur automatically, class, the event contains no member in the sample space, its probability is 0. Siyempre naman, class, automatically, wait. Yan, probability niya is 0. Pag hindi naman talaga siya mag-occur, wala talaga, class. Wala talagang chance na mangyari ang gusto mo kung hindi mo naman ginagawa yon. Halimbawa, the probability of passing the subject, kung hindi ka naman talaga nagpapass, wala talaga. 0 talaga, class, yung chance mo makapasa sa isang subject, diba? Okay. For example, when you roll a die, find the probability of getting a 9. Okay. Take note, 9. Okay? Alam naman natin sa die, pag ni-roll mo yon, automatically, di ba, class? 1, 2, 6 lang yan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yan lang yung possible outcomes. Yan lang literal yung sample space. Wala naman talagang 9. So, it is impossible to get a 9. So, the probability of getting a 9 is 0 because wala siya dun sa sample space. Wala naman talagang getting a 9. So, the sample space is 6. Automatically, the probability of getting that is 0. Diba? Okay, let's move on. Okay, balikan ko lang yung rule number 1 and 2. So, 1, the probability of getting an event. So, it may be 0 or 1, but it falls between that values. Either a fraction or decimal. So, hindi siya pwedeng negative, cannot be negative, or greater than. So, rule number 2, the probability of getting an event that is not certain, so wala naman sa possible outcome, so 0. In the probability rule number 3, if an event E is certain, then the probability of an event is equal to 1. Excuse me. Okay. So, since all outcomes, when a single die is rolled, what is the probability of getting a number less than 7? We all know, sabi ko kanina, kung getting a 9, the probability of that is 0. Kasi 1, 2, 6 lang yung sample space. But take note, number less than 7, automatically, these numbers, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, falls under this, less than 7. So, the probability of getting that is certain. So, the probability of getting that is 1. Okay? And last but not the least, rule in probability, the sum of the probabilities of all outcomes in the sample space is 1. Okay. For example, di ba ang outcome natin sa die is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, the probability of getting a 1 is 1, 6. Am I right? Ayan. The probability of getting a number, of getting a 2 is 1, 6, so on and so forth. So, lahat yan 1, 6 class. But when we all sum up those probabilities, yan, pag sinam natin lahat yan, that is also equal to 1. Okay. So, that is the basic rules, probability rules. Okay. Okay. We have 4 yan. Yan. First rule, the second rule. First rule, it falls between 0 to 1, either fraction or decimal, but it cannot be negative or greater than 1. But in the probability rule number 2, so if the event cannot occur, automatically is 0 yung probability natin. And sa rule number 3, pag certain naman, automatically 1. And rule number 4, pag sinam mo lahat ng possible possibility or probabilities of all outcomes in the sample space, that is also equal to 1. Okay? We move on to the complementary events. So, kung kanina sa classical probability, equally likely events, so how about the complementary events? Okay? Take note, class. So, example muna para mas maintindihan mo kung ano yung complement of that event. Okay? When a die is rolled, so, for instance, the sample space, alam natin 1 to 6. The event of getting odd numbers. Okay. Ito yung event natin. Una, pinapahanap. Getting odd numbers consist of the outcomes 1, 3, 5. So, di ba yun makukuha natin? So, the event of not getting an odd number is called the complement of that event. Complement of the event E. Okay? It consists of outcomes 2, 4, 6. So, here in the example, so, the event is getting an odd number in a die. Possible outcomes that is 1, 3, 5. So, the complement of that event. So, what is the complement of this event? The probability of getting an even number. So, thank you. That is correct. So, that is the complement of that class. Okay? The complement of getting an odd number. Okay? So, the complement of an event is the set of outcomes in the sample space that are not included in the outcomes of the event. Ibig sabihin, pag pinakuha, di ba dito sa die, di ba pinapakuha sa'yo is getting an odd number. So, yun, 1, 3, 5. So, yung mga hindi included sa outcomes, yun yung complement ng event na yun. Okay? So, kadalasan yung complement of an event is denoted as E bar. Okay? E bar yun, class, ha? That is the complement of that event. Okay? Another example. Okay. Sige, para mas maintindihan. Find the complement of each event. Okay. When we roll a die and getting a 4. So, what is the complement of that? Getting a 4. Rolling a die and getting a 4. What is the complement of that? Ano yung mga mangyayari? Okay. Okay, nakita ko yun. Okay, nakita not getting a 4. Okay, tama naman yan. But, okay, so ang complement of that is getting a 1, diba? Or 2, or 3. Yan, 2, or 3. Hindi kasama yung 4, 5. Yan. Or 6. Yan. That is the complement of that, diba? How about this? What is the complement of that event? Selecting a letter of the alphabet and getting a vowel. Ayan. Getting a consonant. Tama. Kasi class, di ba alam naman natin yung vowel? Ano yung mga vowel natin? Hindi nyo na alam? Ayan. Ayan, getting a consonant. Okay, nakukuha ba? Ayan, yung vowels, yung I, E, O, O. Ibig sabihin, yung complement doon is yung consonant, di ba? Yung mga consonant natin, B, di ba? P, C, D, F, G, H, J, K, L, M, N, P, Q, R, di ba? Consonant yon. Okay, dito naman sa letter C, selecting a month and getting a month that begins with a J. What is the complement of that? Complement of that event. If we all know. Diba? Ang mga month natin nagsisimula sa January, June, July. Tatlo lang yun, diba? So the probability, the complement of that are, getting ayan, February, March, April, May, August, October, September, October, November, December. Okay. So, nakukuha nyo na class yung logic about this. Okay. Nakukuha ba?
Yes po,
Okay.
ma'am.
Yes
So,
po, ma'am.
ganun class yung complement ng bakit pinapahanap yun naman? Kasi may probability of getting that. Okay. So, dito muna sa simple. Okay. Next, selecting a day of the week and getting a weekday. Sige nga. What is the complement of that event? Yes, that is getting a weekend. Yes, Saturday, Sunday. That is also correct. Yan, madami na sumasagot. Thank you, class. Okay, so nakuha nyo, class, ha? You know, you get it. You understand it. Okay, so finding the complement. Ayan, so tama yung mga sagot niya. Yeah, getting a one, consonant, February, March, April, May, August, September, October, November, December. Getting a Saturday or a Sunday. Okay? So that is the complement of that class. How about we proceed now to the computation part of having a complementary event. So, dito muna tayo mag-focus. Di ba alam natin yung probability ng event is always equal to, yes, the sum of all, in the rule number 4 baga class, the sum of all possible outcomes is equal to 1. Diba? So, for example, the probability of getting a, sa die, diba, 1, 6, getting a 1. The complement of that is ilan? Diba? Pag inad mo yun ng 5, getting a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is 5, 6. So that is 1. Okay, so this is the formula or the rule for complementary events. So the probability of getting the complement of that is 1 minus the probability of that event. Okay? So for example, if the probability that a person lives in an industrialized country of the world is 1/5, find the probability that a person does not live in an industrialized country. Diba? Take note. So, what is the probability? Ano yung tanong sa atin? Binigay sa atin yung probability na yung mga tao daw tumitira sa industrialized country is 1/5. So, pinapahanap sa atin nun yung complement. Diba, class? Naintindihan? Automatically, minus mo lang yan. 1 minus of that, diba? The probability of living in an industrialized country. So, pinapahanap sa atin is the probability of not living in an industrialized country. Automatically, you just need to subtract 1 minus 1/5. That is now 4/5. Okay? We proceed. Okay. So, this is an example, a representation of the complement of that event in the simple probability class sa letter A, di ba nakikita nyo? Ang sample space natin, itong buo. Ito, class. Dito muna tayo tingin. Okay. So, dito, class, we all know, yung palagi pinapahanap sa atin is, ano daw yung probability of getting that? Yun palagi yung pinapahanap sa atin, di ba? And the total sample space is always equal to 1. I mean, the probability, the sum of all probabilities of all possible outcomes is equal to 1. Okay? And here, sa letter B, ito na yung class, yung complement. Diba? Ito yung kadalasan na binibigay or nahahanap natin. So, in the box, yung sa labas nun, that is the E-bar. Or that is the complement of that event. Okay? Okay, we proceed, class. Okay, sabi ko nga, we have the classical probability, 3 basic interpretation. The first one is the classical probability. The next one is the empirical or subjective or the frequency probability. And letter D, I mean, the frequency. And and the third one is the subjective probability. Okay? We proceed in the empirical probability. So, empirical probability class now has, kung kanina, in a classical probability, we assume that the certain outcomes are equally likely to occur. So, equally likely events kanina. Dito naman class sa empirical, it relies on the actual experience. Ano yung sinasabi dito? To determining the likelihood of outcomes. Actually, class, mas madali si empirical. Okay. Yan. Kasi, meron tayong frequency distribution table. Kukunin mo lang yung probability na makikita mo dun sa table. Okay? Okay. So, take note the probability of, in an empirical probability class. So, how do we get that? We have to find the frequency for the class over the total frequencies in the distribution. Yep. So, madali lang class. So, based on observation. Okay. For example, we have this table. Actually, ginawa lang yung table. The solution part. But, you have the data given sa'yo in a sample of 50 people. 21 had type O blood. 22 had type A blood. 5 had type B blood. And 2 had type AB blood. Okay, sabi dito, we need to set up a frequency distribution and find the probabilities of a person has a type O blood, type AB, type A or type B blood, neither type A nor type O blood, and does not have type AB blood. Okay. Sabi nga doon, kukunin mo lang yung frequency over the total number in the frequency distribution table. Okay. A person having a blood type O. Okay. Ilan yung may blood type O sa table? That is 21. Okay. What is the total frequency or the total sample space? The sample space, the possible 50. Okay. So, we have 21 over 50. Okay. Diba? Madali lang class itong empirical. Okay. Sa letter B class, has type A or type B blood? Ayan. Bakit 27? Balikan niyo yung, excuse me. Yung word na or. Okay. Ano yung word na or nga? Doon? Exclusive or ito. So, you just need to add. We have type A. Type A natin is 22. And plus 5, that is 27 over 50. Bakit? Kasi yung sample natin is 50 total number of people. Okay? This is 27 over 50. In letter C class, how about letter C? Neither type A nor type O. Neither. So, hindi kasama si type A and type O. Ang matitira sa atin, so complement of that is, yung pinapahanap talaga sa atin is this one. Kasi hindi daw A and O. The type B and type AB. So, you just need to add this. 5 plus 2, that is now 7. Or the total sample space, 50. Di ba? Madali lang kasi yung probability. Okay. Letter D. A person does not have type AB blood. Okay. Ayan. Ang dami na. AB. Di ba, class? Alam naman natin na ang AB, dalawa lang naman. So, 50 minus 2, 48 over 50. Yan. Okay. Thank you, class. So, this is now the frequency. Yan. This is the solution. Yan. Letter C, 5 over 50 plus 2. Sa class, magbe-base ka nito sa frequency table. Okay. Kasi given na sa atin, this is called empirical probability. Okay. Sa letter T class, probability of not AB1, kinuha niya class yung complement. Kahit ako class. Diba? Not AB. Kasi alam natin yung AB na 2 lang siya. 1 minus 2 over 50, that is 48 over 50 or just 24 over 25. Naintindihan class yung empirical? Naintindihan?
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay, madali-dali class yung empirical. Sa basic interpretation natin. Diba? Kaysa sa, mas madali ba to? Kaysa sa classical? Actually, madali na class lahat. Okay? Ito class yung pinakamadali. Subjective probability. Bakit? Subjective probability uses a probability value based on an educated guess or estimate. You just need to employ opinions and inexact information. Okay, bakit? Halimbawa ito. In a subjective probability, a person or group makes an educated guess at the chance that an event will occur. So this is based on the person's experience and evaluation of a solution. Okay. For example, class, we know that a sports writer, eto class so sports writer may say that there is 70% probability that the Pirates will win the pennant next year. Okay, so, excuse me, a sports writer. So, based yan sa experience niya. The second one, a physician might say on the basis of her diagnosis, there is 30% chance that the patient will need an operation. Okay? So, physician siya, so doktor siya based sa personal experience niya. So, this is subjective probability. This is a 30% chance. Subjective probability in class. Ito class to sports writer, 70%. And a seismologist might say there is an 80% probability that an earthquake will occur in a certain area. So, this is class how subjective probability is used in everyday life. Diba class? Excuse me. Excuse me. Another example. Diba class, ang pag-asa? Hindi sabi sa inyo na. The probability of having, diba yung low pressure, diba class? Naririnig niya. Kahit sa weather report, Mang Tani, that is an educated guess. Okay? Subjective probability yun, class. Yun yung pinakamadali sa tatlong basic interpretation ng probability. Okay? Punta na tayo sa mga rules. Okay? Naintindihan ba class yung tatlo? Subjective, the subjective, the classical, and the empirical. Punta na tayo sa addition rules. When we say addition rules for probability, automatically two events are mutually exclusive. Exclusive events. So they have no outcomes in common. So, for example, so yung event natin cannot occur at the same time. The probability of two or more events can be determined by the addition rules. So the first addition rule is used when the events are mutually exclusive. Okay. Automatically, the probability of getting an A or B, you just need to add. Okay, mutually exclusive events. Okay. So the probability of getting that at a political rally, there are 20 Republicans, 13 Democrats, and 6 independents. If a person is elected at random, find the probability that he or she is either a Democrat or an independent. We add those para makuha natin yung total outcomes natin. We have 20 plus 13 plus 6. Okay, so ilan yan, class? That is 39. Yan yung outcomes natin. That is always the denominator. Okay. So, pinapahanap sa atin the Democrat. Ilan yung Democrat sa atin? We have 13. Automatically, this is not mutually exclusive event. So, automatically, you just need to add. Plus the independent, we have 6 independent. Okay, over 39. Yan. Naintindihan, class? That is the rule number 1, mutually exclusive. Another example. A day of the week is selected at random. Find the probability that it is a weekend day. Pag weekend, class, we all know that is just Saturday and Sunday. Excuse me. So the probability of getting a Saturday is always 1 over the 7. We have 2, 7. Okay. Madali lang. Okay. Another example. Sige, class water break muna si ma'am. Sige, pag-aralan niyo muna to. Madali lang. Okay, class, I'm back. So, di ba, kanina sinabi ko sa inyo yung inclusive OR and exclusive OR. So, eto na. So, a single card is drawn at random from an ordinary deck of cards. So, find the probability that it is either an ace or a black card. So, we all know apat yung aces natin, 26 yung black cards. Bakit? We have 13 spades and 13 clubs. So, we have 2 of the aces are black cards, di ba? Kasi dalawa yung ace black cards natin. We have the ace of spade and the ace of clubs. Naintindihan? So, dito, class, counted twice sila. Di ba? Okay. This is the probability of ace, 4 over 52. Yeah. And we also have 26 over 52. So, bakit may minus na tayo? Sige nga. Minus the probability of black aces. Kasi, class? Nabilang siya dito. Yes. Nabilang din siya dito sa black card. Dalawa yan, class. Kasi, we have the ace of spades and the ace of clubs. Nabilang dito siya. Nabilang din siya dito sa black card. Diba? So, minus 2 over 52. So, we have now the probability of getting this, either an ace or a black card. So, this is now 28 over 52. Okay? Anong tawag doon? So, when the events are not mutually exclusive, sabi ko na nga, the addition rule 2 can be used to find the probability of the event. So, not mutually exclusive yun, class. Kasi nga, ano na siya? Inclusive na siya. Diba? Not mutually inclusive. So, this is now. The probability of getting an A or a B is just equal to the probability of A, the first event, plus the probability of that minus the probability of getting an A and B. Okay? Not mutually exclusive events. Another example. So, in a hospital unit, there are 8 nurses and 5 physicians. So, 7 nurses, 3 physicians are females. If the staff person is selected, find the probability that the subject is a nurse or a male. Nurse or a male. So, ang kukunin mo is the probability of nurse or male. So, kukunin mo yung probability na nurse siya. Kukunin mo din yung probability na lalaki siya. Okay. Minus, bakit? 2 beses mo na siya binilang or nag-overlap na. Minus ng bilang ng male na nurse or yung lalaking nurse. Okay. Sa table, class, alam natin na ang nurse natin ilan? Hindi yung female and male, but yung total. We have 8. So, the probability na nurse siya is 8 over 13. Bakit? Ito lang yung total. Yan. Total, class, ng sample space natin. 13. Nurse siya. The probability of male, the probability na lalaki siya. So, hindi lang yung nurse, pati yung physician. So, i-add mo siya. We have 3. 3 na lalaki out of the total sample space. Plus, iniisa ko, isa-isa ko kasi para mas maintindihan niyo. Okay. Minus the probability na na male at the same time nurse siya. Male siya, first category, male siya at the same time nurse. So, dito tayo, dyan mag-fall. 1, kung ano class yung andun sa frequency table. So, we have 1 male over 13. Bakit minus? Kasi binilang na siya dito sa nurse, nabilang pa din siya dito sa male. Kaya, minus 1 over 13. So, we have 10 over 13. So, that is now the probability that the subject is a nurse or a male. Am I right? Okay? Naintindihan ba?
Yes po, ma'am.
So, this is the addition rule number 2. Excuse me. Ay, aray. Okay. So, take note, the first one is a mutually exclusive event. Then, in the next process or in the next slide, this is called now the not mutually exclusive event. So, this is the addition rule number 2. Okay. So, kung yung kanina, example number 1 natin is a mutually exclusive event, we just need to add those. Kasi hindi niya naapektuhan si letter B. Si A, hindi niya naapektuhan si B. Si B, hindi niya naapektuhan si A. But here, in a non-mutually exclusive event, so the probability of getting an A or B. So, meron na class siyang exclusive. I mean, nag-overlap na. So, ito class. So, ima-minus mo siya. Okay? Kasi counted twice siya. So, the probability of getting an A and the probability of getting an B. So, minus the probability of getting that both events. Okay? Okay. So, yun lang class yung sa how do you call it? Addition rules sa probability. Now we proceed to the multiplication rules and the conditional probability. So ano nga ba tong multiplication rules as well as the conditional probability? Okay. The multiplication rules can be used to find the probability of two or more events that occur in a sequence. Okay. Pag class, alam niyo nang pasunod-sunod na yung event. Multiplication yan ha. Hindi yan addition. Two or more events occur in sequence. Okay? Eto na. When two events, A and B are independent events, okay? If the fact that A occurs does not affect the probability of B occurring, so we use this. When two events are independent, the probability of both occurring is, ayan, the probability of getting an A and a B. So we just need to multiply. Okay. So this is now two or more events. So yan yung palagi yung iisipin ka sa two or more events. Okay. So dalawa na to class na event. We have a coin that is ripped as well as a die is rolled. So dalawa yan. Automatically, dapat papasok sa utak nyo, ay dalawa tong event, two or more. This is now multiplication. I don't need to add. Naintindihan si ma'am? Hindi mo na kailangan i-add yun. Okay. So, two or more events that the event is occurring in sequence. Sequence, ha? So, find the probability of getting a head on the coin and a 4 on a die. Diba? So, how do we get a head as well as a 4? Okay? So, the probability of getting that, so we have the probability of getting a head. Alam naman natin na ang sample space ng tossing a coin is 2. So, this is 1/2. And the probability of getting a 4 on a die, that is also 1/6 because the sample space in a die is 6. And the probability of getting a 4 is 1. So, this is now your probability. Okay? This is now your probability. Okay, class? Naintindihan ba? This is an independent events. Two or more two or more events. Sequence in events. Okay, occurring. Another example. Ito na class may sequence na siya. Kung kanina, deck of cards, getting a 3 or a 4. So, ito na. A card is drawn from a deck and replaced. Take note. And replaced. Then, a second card is drawn. Find the probability of getting a queen. And then, an ace. Okay. The first event is getting a queen. Okay. So, if we have to find this, two independent events. So, finding a queen is 4/52. Kung kanina, hindi naman class sinabi na second. I mean, isahan lang yung pagkuha. Kanina yung mga example natin sa basic classical probability, sa basic interpretation ng probability. So, ngayon, class independence, tapos may sequence na siya. So, automatically, we need to multiply. Okay? You need to multiply that. Okay? Because this is 2. are independent events. Then an ace, so we have 4 over 52. Bakit 4 over 52? Kasi yung card natin, binalik niya. If ever a card is drawn from a deck and replaced, diba? Then a second card is drawn. Diba? Ibig sabihin, 52 pa rin yung sample space natin doon sa second draw. Okay? So the probability of getting an ace is 4 over 52. So just need to multiply. We have now the probability of getting a queen and an ace. So we have 1 over 169. Okay. Another one. Ito, class. Kasi decimal to. Sige nga, class. Babasa daw nga, class. Baka wala na sa akin nakikinig. Wala. Walang volunteer. Anyone?
Ako na lang po, ma'am.
Sige, basahin mo nga, class, para yung ano ko.
Survey
Boses
on
ko man.
stress. A Harris poll found that 46% of Americans say they suffer great stress at least once a week. If 3 people are selected at random, find the probability that all 3 will say that they suffer great stress at least once a week.
Okay. So, paano yun nakuha yun, sir? So, 3 events siya, class. Tama ba? 3 tao yung pinili. Okay. So, sa unang tao, class, ang stress daw ilan? Find the probability that all 3 will say that they suffer great stress at least once a week. So, independent naman yung event. So, in each person, sinasabi daw na 40% of that of the Americans says that they suffer great stress at least once a week. So, sabi dito, 3 yan, class. So, automatically, in each person, the probability of the stress in each person, ilan daw? 0.46. Tama ba? At least once a week, ha? 3 will say they suffer great stress at least once a week. So, independent yan. So, you just need to multiply. Kasi, 46%. So, convert mo siya into decimal, that is 0.46. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, yung 3 tao na yon at least once a week, they suffer a great stress. Okay? That is now your answer. Another example. So, this is an approximation. Approximately 9% of men have type of colored blindness that prevents them from distinguishing between red and green. If 3 men are selected at random, find the probability that all of them, will have this type of red-green color blind. All of them. So, 9%. Approximately 9% in each person. In each, yung probability niya na makukuha niya yan is 0.9. Diba? Sabi doon. Sa sistema niya, 0.9. Okay? So, 0.9 times 0.9 times 0.09. So, we rounded off the probability. So, we have this. Okay? This is the independent events. Okay, dito tayo sa multiplication rule number 2. So, mas madali to, class. Kaya lang may twist din dito. Okay. Kung kanina, independent events. So, we move on to the dependent events. Okay. So, tinatawag na tayo ditong conditional probability. Okay. When the outcome or occurrence of the first event affects the outcome or occurrence of the second event in such a way that the probability is changed, the events are said to be dependent events. Okay. The conditional probability of an event B in relationship to an event A is the probability that event B occurs after event A has already occurred. So, di ba? Tongue twister. Okay. So, in the multiplication rule number 2, if two events are dependent, the probability of both occurring is the probability of event A and B is just equal to the probability of event A times the probability of B after the first event occur, or the probability of the second event after the first event has already occurred. Okay, so mahirap yan. Alam ko. Dito na tayo sa example. Cool. At the university in Western Pennsylvania, there were 5 burglaries reported in 2003, 16 in 2004, and 32 in 2005. If a researcher wishes to select at random 2 burglaries to further investigate, find the probability that both will have occurred in 2004. Take note. Ang tinatanong sa atin dito is probability that both will have occurred in 2004. Okay. Events are dependent since the researcher wishes to investigate 2 distinct cases. Okay. Ano daw yun, class? Yung unang event natin, 16 over 53. Bakit 16 over 53? Total sample space, 5, 16, 32. 5, ayan na. 5, 16, 32. Pag inad mo yan, 53. Am I correct? Siyempre, mag-investigate ka. Total in 2004. So, ilan daw class? 16. So, that is the first event. First event. So, 16. Pero since sinasabi niya, a researcher wishes to select at random 2. Dalawa class. So, pag-aaralan niyo muna to, si number 1. After that, pag-aaralan niya si number 2. Bakit 50 na lang over 52? Kasi the first case, napili na siya. So, hindi na siya pwedeng ibalik, di ba? Class, compare sa card na pwede mo pang ibalik. Am I correct? Yes. Okay, not replaced. Nabawasan na po. Yes. Ibig sabihin, eto class, realidad to. So, hindi niya na pwedeng ibalik yung kaso niya, tapos masiselect. So, mababawasan tayo ng isang kaso. This one, sa pangalawang event, kasi dalawa yung kukunin niya. So, 15 over 52, minus 1 din sa baba kasi mababawasan yung total outcomes natin kasi nga binawasan na natin. And also, eto class na 16 minus 1. Okay? So, this is now the probability of getting that. Okay? Balik tayo sa mga cards. Kung kanina, isahan ka lang na a deck of card, isahan ka. Ngayon, 3 cards ka na. Okay. 3 cards are drawn from an ordinary deck and not replaced. So, find the probability of this event. So, getting 3 jacks. 3 jacks. What is yung first? 3 class First draw, second draw, and, third draw. Take note of the word not replaced. Okay. Okay, nakikita nyo yan, class. So, this is an example of a dependent events. Maapektuhan niya yung second draw. Mas maapektuhan niya yung third draw. Kasi not replaced yung card natin, hindi binalik. Sige nga. Getting a 3 jacks. So, ilan yung jacks natin?
4 po,
Class?
ma'am. 4 po.
Ayan. So, yun yung una na draw natin, na probability of that. 52. Ang bagal ng sulat ni ma'am dito sa laptop. Okay. Ano yung pangalawang draw natin? Not replaced na siya of getting 3 jacks. Ayun. Ayun, no. May mga question mark na. 3/51. Not replaced ka. Hindi binalik yung isang card, so maapektuhan niya. And sa third draw natin, the probability na of getting a jack is 2/50. Yan. Okay, alam na pala niyo, class. No problem. Ito naman, class, getting an ace on the first draw in order. Sinabi niya in order. Sige nga. An ace. Ilan yung ace natin? 4. Ilan yung cards natin? 52. Getting a king. Ilan yung king natin? 4. Pero, since yung card natin is not replaced, 51 na lang to, class. Dito, class, sa taas, nagbabawas tayo kasi probability of getting a 3 jacks. Dito naman, class, king and a queen, also, this is 4/50. So, maghahalo-halo na dito, class, yung mutually exclusive sa taas. So, pagkuha mo, okay, it can affect the whole sample space, the total outcomes. Getting a club, spade, and a heart in order. So, ang club, class, ilan? 13.
13.
Over 52. 32/52. And yung spades natin is, ayan, hindi nakakasulat si ma'am, 52. And a spade, ilan yung spade natin? 13/51. Kasi class, take note of the word not replaced. Makaka-apekto yan sa second draw natin. As well as the third. Pati yung heart natin. 13/50. Bakit ang bagal magsulat ito? Ating hindi pa gamay si ma'am. Okay. And getting 3 clubs. Ilan yung clubs natin? 13. 13 over, tama ba si ma'am? 13/52. Bakit 13? Kasi di ba class 13 naman talaga sila. 12/51. Ayan. Mas madali magsulat, di ba, class? Ay, mag-type. Over 11/50. So, nakuha na, class, when it comes to this rule. So, take note, baka malito kayo, not replaced and replaced. Okay. Ay, wait, class, not replaced. Oo. So, hindi binalik. Tingnan nga natin kung tama sila. Mali yung answer natin. Yo, tama ba? 4/3. So, the probability of getting a jack, so 3/1, magma-minus sa taas kasi getting a 3 jacks. So, 52, 51, 50, not replaced. So, this is the probability of that. The probability of an ace, king, and queen. So, sa taas, class, hindi naman nakaka-apekto, but yung sa baba, na-apektuhan siya. Kasi the card is not replaced. So, you just need to multiply. So, this is a sequence event. So, multiplication rule. As well as the club and the spade and the heart. So, 13 lahat sila kasi magkakaiba-iba naman sila. But the card is not replaced. So, automatically, magma-minus ka sa baba. Yung total sample space natin. As well as sa letter D, we have 3 clubs. We have 13, 12, 11. Kasi pasunod-sunod na club. So, mag-1 ka sa taas as well as sa baba. So, yung iba nakukuha, yung iba hindi pa. Alam ko. So, you need to study more. Okay, class? We proceed. Okay lang, class? So, we have the mutually, the additional rule, the three basic interpretation of probability. Probability rules. 4 yon, as well as the addition rules and the multiplication rules. So, pasok na tayo dito sa conditional probability. Okay, the conditional probability of an event B in relationship to B. The conditional probability of an event B in relationship to an event A was defined as the probability that event B occurs after event A has already occurred. Okay, so mahaba-haba in class. So when we get the probability of, the conditional probability of that, or the probability of B, so class, the probability of the second event after the event A or the first event has already occurred. So you just need to find the probability of getting that both, okay, and also the probability of the first event divided by the class, so the division. Okay. For example, so a box contains black chips and white chips. So take note, the first event is black chip. A person selects 2 chips without replacement. Oh, take note of the word without. Without replacement. If the probability of selecting a black chip and a white chip, take note, pag ang black chip, that is the first event, and a white chip, so this is the end at the same time. So we have probability of the first event. What is the first event? That's the black chip and a white chip. So we have 15/56. And the probability of selecting a black chip on the first draw. Take note, on the first draw. So, ibig sabihin yung black chip natin, that is the first event, the probability of the first event. So, that is black chip. So, given sa atin to, so find the probability of selecting the white chip on the second draw, given that the first chip was selected was a black chip. Okay. So, this is now class A conditional probability. So, find the probability of selecting the white chip on the second draw. Given the first chip, okay, take note that this was the first event, the white chip on the, selecting a white chip on the second draw, that is the second event. So, given that the first chip was selected was black chip. So, sabi ko nga, the probability of getting the first event, so dito na class, alam naman natin yung B is black chip and white in W. The probability of that, the probability of the second event after the first event has occurred. So, automatically, ang conditional probability niyan, class, the probability of getting the first event and the second event over the first event that has already occurred. Okay? So, this is a conditional probability. So, since sa formula natin, sa problem that is given, so we have 15/56, the probability of getting that. Given naman class sa problem, madali-dali. 15/56. And the probability of the first event is 3/8. Kasi black chip on the first draw is 3/8. You just need to divide it. So we have this divided by the reciprocal. So we have 5/7. Okay, so this is now the conditional probability. So the probability of selecting a white chip on the second draw, given that the first chip was selected was black. Okay, so 5/7. Okay? Okay, so that is now the conditional probability. Another example class. So, survey on women in military. So, we have here the gender, the male, or the sex, the male and the female. So, 100% daw class. A survey asked 100 people if they thought women in the armed forces should be permitted. to participate in combat. The result of the survey are shown. So, eto class. Sige nga. 50 and 50 total number, the male and female, and the total sample space is 100. Find the probability. The responder answered yes. Okay. Denote this as Y. Given that the respondent was a female. Okay. And also, letter B, find the respondent was a male, given that the respondent answered no. Okay, in the first problem class, the responder answered yes, given that the respondent was a female. So what is the first event in letter A? A. What is the first event? Okay. We denote that as, what is the first event, class? The probability of, class, responded yes. The respondent answered yes, given that the respondent was a female. The first event here, class, is the respondent was a
Female po.
female. Kasi given. So, nauna siya. So, this is your first event. First event. The second event, class, now is the probability that the responder answered, ito yung conditional probability. Female and a yes. Am I correct? Ayan, formula. Ang pinapahanap sa atin, the probability of the second event, it is a yes. After the first event, ganito yung class, yung formula. Given that the respondent was a female. Ayan. So, equal na siya. The probability of getting that female. Ayan. Pasensya na, class. Mahina ang kalaban. And a yes. As well as the first event yun, class, ha? Dapat malaman nyo kung ano yung first event. Probability of the first event. Ayan. Okay. So, what is now the probability of this one? Probability of having a female and a yes. Sa frequency table natin. Frequency table. Finding the female and a yes. Yes. Sige nga. Ano yung answer nyo, class?
8/100 divided by 50/100 po.
Dito muna tayo sa probability sa female and a yes. Female na yes. Female and yes, 8/50. 8/100. Okay, double check. Sige nga. Isip-isip time. So, hinatag. Bakit 4/24? 25. Simplified. 8/50. Ilan daw yung 8/40? We have a table. The probability of getting a female and a yes. Sige nga. Yan o.
8/100.
8/100. Bakit 8/100? Ayan o. Kasi, yung nag-female na nag-yes is just, pag may frequency table na class, ito na ba? 8/100. So, this is now 8/100. What about the probability of female? That is now Ilan? Ilan yung female natin?
50 over 100.
Ayan. 50 over 100. So, ito yung probability. Kasi ito lang yung na female na nag-guess, 8 over 100. So, ay, makikita niyo na. Anyway, so this is now 8 over 100 kasi yun yung sa table. Makikita mo, sila lang yung na female na nag-guess. Okay? So, hindi na tayo mag-compute tayo ng deck of cards. So, ito naman, may frequency table kasi tayo pa. So, probability na female. So, automatically 50 over 100. So, ang answer na natin dito sa letter A is, ano class? So, the probability of female class is this one. So, ang total number ng female natin is 50 total sample space over 100. So, yung answer dito natin is 4 over ilan? Yan. Okay. Okay. Sa letter B naman, class. Letter B. Yan. Sa letter B, hanapin natin, pag may mga class keywords, the probability given that the respondent answered no. So, this is the first event. Okay? No. That is now the first event. Okay, this is now the first event. The second event now is the probability of first event. No. And ano daw yan? And a male. So, what is now the conditional probability of this? The probability of the second event, male, is to the first event that answered no. Okay, so this is now equal to the probability of that both event that is a no at the same time male m over the probability of the first event that answered no. Okay, sa mga total na tayo magkakuha. Okay, sa taas class, what is the probability of no at the same time male? No and the male? What is your answer, class? 18 over 100. What is the answer in the probability of no? Getting an answer na no. 60 over 100. So what is your answer? What is your answer, class? Wow. Wow. Sure? Okay, so tingnan natin. Yes, class, that is treated. So, doon class sa table, makikita mo na ang no at the same time male is 18. Bakit? Ito. No at the same time male. Automatically, 18 na yan, class. 18 over 100 kasi that is the total sample space. The probability of getting a no, so no. So yan, yung total, grand total is 60 over 100. So the answer now is 3/10. Okay, so tama kayo, class. That is now the conditional probability. Okay? Naintindihan ba, class? So sa conditional probability, class, you just need to make sure that the first event already happened or already occurred. So yun yung magiging basihan mo. After that, the probability of the first event and the second event. So kukunin mo na yung conditional probability. So the conditional probability of the second event after the first event that has already occurred. Okay? So moving on, we have the probabilities for at least. Okay. So, next, ano pa yan? This is just a Venn diagram of the conditional probability, class. Okay. So, at least na muna tayo. Ayan. A game is played by drawing 4 cards from an ordinary deck and replacing each card after it is drawn. Find the probability that at least one ace is drawn. At least one. So, mas madali daw, class daw. It is much easier to find the probability that no aces are drawn. Pag ganito, class, at least one. Okay, bakit? Then subtract the value from 1 to find the solution directly because that would involve finding the probability of getting an ace. 1, 2, 2 aces, 3 aces, and 4 aces, then adding the result. Okay? Ibig sabihin, class, when finding at least, the word at least, kadalasan ginagamit is yung complement of that. The probability of losing the aces, diba? Kasi ito, yung complement niya. I mean, yes, the complement of getting an ace. So, the complement, kasi yung event natin, at least one ace is drawn. So, kasi 4 cards, sinabi dito 4 cards. So, sequence, you need to multiply. Sequence, order of events, 2 or more. So, multiply mo siya. So, the drawn, no aces are drawn. So, complement yung kinuha natin kasi wala naman sinabing replacing card. So, binalik naman yung card. So, 452 lahat. So, getting that. So, 4 minus 52. So, we have this, the complement of that event. After that, you need to minus it to find the probability of that event. So, ganito class kadalasan yung ginagawa pag at least, yung word at least. So, the probability of winning of that, so 1 minus the probability of losing. So, this is now your percent, 0.27. So, a hand with at least one ace will win about 20% of the time. Okay? Kasi yung complement yung kinuha natin. Okay? Another one, so, a coin is tossed 5 times. So, sequence of event, multiply. Find the probability of getting at least one tail. Okay, it is easier to find the probability of the complement of the event, which is all heads. Okay? So, alam naman natin na all heads, 1/2 yung probability niya raised to the 5th, di ba? Bakit 5th? Kasi 5 beses siya tinos. So, 1/2 times hanggang 5 beses mo siya. Okay, 1/32. So, the complement of that getting ahead is getting at least one tail. So, 1 minus of that, this is now 31/32. Okay? Okay. So, alam ko naman sa senior high nyo, tinuro din to, the different possible outcomes or the sequence of events. So, we need to determine this number. 3 rules can be used: the fundamental counting rule, the permutation rule, and the combination rule. Okay? In your calculator, alam naman natin, sa fundamental counting rule class, you just need to multiply the first possibilities, the second, the third, and so on. The second, the third, and so on and so forth. The total number of possibilities of the sequence. Okay. So this is a tree diagram wherein we have the heads and the tails, the coin, and the die. So, pinakita lang dito yung mga possibilities para lang mabilang mo. Okay? So, a paint manufacturer wishes to manufacture several different paints. So, hinatag sa atin, so how many different kinds of paint can be made if you can select one color, one type, one texture, in one use. So, color, type, texture. So, bibilangin mo lahat kung ilan yung color, the type, the texture. So, we have 7, 2, 3, and 2. So, i-multiply mo lang yan, class. That is the fundamental counting rule. So, we have 84 possibilities. Okay? The factorial notation. So, alam naman natin to. So, 0 factorial is always equal to 1. Okay. And also, this one. So, for example daw, class, rank only top 3 of the 5 locations. So, we have 5 locations. So, how many different ways she can rank them? The first choice is 5, the second is 4, and the third choice is 3. Bakit 5 yung location? Pero pag sinabing 6 yung location, is 6, 5, dito 4. Yan, mga ganyan ang class. So this is the fundamental counting rule. And the permutation, we have this in your calculator. Pasensya class, mabilis na ako kasi alam ko magla-lunch time na kayo. So this is now the arrangement. Kasi class, madali lang to. You have your calculator, the permutation rule. The arrangement of n objects in a specific order. Okay, take note of the word specific order. So ginagamit natin to class ha, pag may order lang yung permutation. So the permutation is a permutation of n objects taken r at a time. So NPR, so n objects factorial over n minus r factorial. So eto class, a television news director wishes to use 3 news stories on an evening show. One story will be the lead story, one will be the second story, and one will be the closing story. If the director has 8 stories to choose from, how many possible ways can the program be set up? Since the order is important, alam naman natin na lead story, second story, and the last or the closing story. So permutation taken at 3. Total niyang stories is 8. 8 objects taken 3 at a time. So 336. We have 336 ways to set up the program. I am very fast. Okay lang. Okay? That is permutation. As well as this one. Kasi a musical director can select 2 musical plays. So taken 2 at a time. So one will be presented in the fall and one will be presented in the spring. So may specific order class ha. Fall and the spring. If she has 9 to pick from, so 9 class yung possibilities natin. So permutation natin is 9 taken 2 at a time. So we have 72 different possibilities. So factorial yan class ha. Alam nyo na yan, di ba? Na factorial. Am I right? Yes or no? The factorial
Yes,
class? Okay.
Alam po.
Okay. So if we have the permutation when it comes to the specific order, we have the combination. So ang combination class is a selection of distinct objects without regard to order. So combination yan class, used when the order or arrangement is not important in selecting the process. Okay, so dadagdagan lang natin yung permutation natin sa denominator ng R objects or the R factorial. The number of combinations of R objects selected from n object is denoted as this NCR. Okay, in a formula. So how many combinations of 4 objects are there taken 2 at a time? So we have 4 objects taken 2 at a time. So magdadagdag ka na. We have 6. And also this one, 8 books to review and decided 3 reviews in his newspaper. How many different ways can these 3 reviews be selected? So we have the factorial, the combination, 56 possibilities. Okay. So this is the summary of that. In the fundamental counting rule, you just know the sequence of n events. So the first event can occur in k events, k1 events, k ways, k1 ways, and the second event can occur in k2 ways, etc. So the permutation rule, so order is important. You just need to, this one. And the second one is the combination rule. Okay. Eto na class. So this is just an example of the probability as well as the counting rules. Kaya minadali ko yung class para mas maintindihan nyo. I mean, mas mahabol natin tong probability and counting rules. So, a box contains 24 transistors. So, 24 daw class ha, given sa atin. 4 yung defective. This is now defective. And 4 are sold at random. Find the following probabilities. Exactly 2 are defective. So, papasok na dito class yung combination. And, the combination kasi wala naman ang order. So, the probability of that and the defective, B defective, C are all defective and at least 1 defective. Okay. Dito tayo. There are So, ilang ways mo masisell yung 4 na transistors natin? So, sabi ko nga, 24 yung given sa atin. Ay, sorry class, 24. Tapos, 4 na beses mo siya isusolve. Ibibenta. Okay. Okay. Isusolve na siya. 4. So, the denominator in each case will be ganito. Kasi this is now the total sample space. Total sample space. In the first one, exactly 2 are defective. Okay, take note. Bakit ganito yung combination niya? And this one. The first one, kasi 4 yung defective natin sa problem. 4 yung defective natin. Tapos, 2 daw yung ibibenta natin na defective. So, that is the first probability for that. And the remaining 2 that will be solved is not defective. Bakit 22? Because we all know that 24 yung given sa atin. 24 minus 4. Minus 4, so that is now equal to 20. 20 class yung hindi functioning well. So this is the functioning well, not defective. So 20 yan class. So that is the possible ways we can sell the transistors wherein the probability of that is exactly 2 is defective. The denominator is this one because this is the ways, the total ways that we can sell the 4 transistor. Kasi you have to sell it to 4. Okay, class. 4 mong beses siyang ibibenta. Naintindihan ba? O mabilis si ma'am? Exactly 2 are defective. So, if you add this, 4 plus 20, that is now 24. Okay? So, 4 and 20. So, that is now exactly defective. Wait, class. So, naiintindihan ba, class? Okay. So, that is now exactly defective. Now, we have the number of ways to choose. So, ang pinapahanap natin sa letter B, exactly no defective. Sabi ko nga, this is the way, the denominator is the total sample space. Balikan natin class yung classical probability. So, this is now the possible outcome. So, ito yung possibilities kasi pinaghalo niya class yung probability as well as yung counting rule. Okay? So, these are the ways that we can sell the transistors that are not defectives or no defectives. Bakit 20 yung hindi defectives, 4 na beses mo siya ibibenta? Kasi yun yung sinabi, to sell 4 transistors. Okay? So this is letter B. That is the probability of getting or selling a no defective transistors. Okay? And letter C, the number of ways to choose 4 defectives. So, ibig sabihin, ang pinapahanap sa atin is lahat ng mabibenta mo is defective. So, bakit 1 dito? Kasi we all know that the defective numbers of transistor is 4 as well as 4 na beses mo din siyang ibibenta. So, that is the combination of 1 at a time. 4 objects or the 4 transistor to be sold at 4 times. So, that is now equal to 1. So, 1 over the total sample space. Sabi ko nga, ito yung possible ways na mabenta mo lahat na 24. Wala kang possible outcome. That is all the possible outcomes. Kasi 24 yung transistor mo as well as 4 na beses kami benta. So, 1 over 10, 6, 26. And sa letter D naman, class, when we say at least 1 defective, sabi ko nga, kunin mo yung complement of that event. So, 1 minus the probability of that. May defect yon. So, dito tayo sa walang defect. So, we have computed this now. So, in the letter B. So, probability of at least one defective. So, 1 minus of that is equal to this one. Okay? Masyado bang mabilis si ma'am? Okay? Ayan. So, this is now, class, the combination of the probability as well as the counting rules. Okay. So, here is another example. Ito, class. A store has 6 TV graphic magazines and 8 news time magazines on the counter. If 2 customers purchased a magazine, find the probability that one of each magazine was purchased. Okay? So, the first thing we need to consider is the total outcome, sample space. So, 6 plus 8, so we have 14. But since in the problem, 2 magazine only. 2 customers. So, dapat dalawa. Taken 2 at a time. So, this is now the possible outcomes. But since there is a statement, find the probability that one of each magazine was purchased. So, tig-isa daw na mapopurchase si graphic and the news time. So, taken one at a time sila kasi tig-isa nga kasi dalawang beses ka lang mag-solve, as well as ilan bang magazine meron si TV Graphics? So, 6, as well as 8 din kay news time magazine. So, ganun yun, class, ha. Pinaghalo na si probability as well as yung counting rule. What is the counting rule? Yung fundamental counting rule natin, combination, permutation. Pero kadalasan, combination yung sa solution. Okay? So, we have 48 over 91. And this is just the basic fundamental counting rule. Okay? So, married to each other. Okay. Ayun, class. So, alam ko masyadong mabilis si ma'am. Kasi 10 na. Baka may klase kayo. Okay. So, this is an example of that. Okay. What if I change this, class? Oh, wait, nasaan yun? You have to sell it 5 times. To be sold at 5. Okay. Kung 5 beses, class. Okay. Pag 5 beses mo siya, class, ibibenta. Kung 2 daw ang defective, ang mangyayari dito, ang magiging formula, 4 combination ng exactly 2 are defectives. Times, kung 5 to, ha, to sell, 5 beses ka magbibenta. So, dito, maging combination mo is 20. Combination is, ano na, class? 3. Kasi 5 beses mo siyang benta. And the total outcomes mo na dito sa baba is 24 pa din kasi hindi ko binago yung number of transistors. But, you need to sell it 5 times. Okay? Naintindihan? Sa no defectives class, papalitan mo lang to. 20 pa rin yung no defects mo. Combination, 5 kasi 5 beses mo siyang ititinda. Over the total, we're in 24 combination ng 5 pa din, class. Kasi 5 beses mo siya ibibenta. And also, this one, class, tama ba? Ilan how to choose defective. So, ilan taken at a time dito, class? All are defective. 4? 4 ba, class, or 5? 4 yung defective natin. Taken 5 at a time. Tama ba? May pasok pa kayo? Sige. Okay. So, sige, class. Okay. Sige, I'll end this. But this is now, class, the combination, the probability of counting, the probability and the counting rule. So, okay. Can I just take pictures, class? So, thank you, class, for tinapos ko lang yung isang cover. Okay? So, wait, class. Ayaw niya na mag-exit. Discard ko. Ayan. So, thank you, class. Wait lang, class. Wait.